Welcome to the Moses Organic Farming Podcast. This is Chuck from Moses. Today we have a special episode. We've teamed up with the UW Center for Cooperatives to explore some innovative agricultural cooperatives. The first up is 40 Acre Co-op. 40 Acre is a nationwide cooperative supporting socially disadvantaged farmers, and primarily black farmers. Our two guests from 40 Acre are Angela Dawson, the founder and president, and Kef Raku, president and CEO of Better Family Life Minnesota and a member of 40 Acre Co-op. The interview is structured around the 7 principles of cooperatives. This is part 1, where Kef and Angela talk through principles 1 through 4, open and voluntary membership, democratic member control, members' economic participation, and autonomy and independence. Let's get to it.
My name is Kelly Maynard, and I'm a co-op development specialist at the UW Center for Cooperatives based at UW-Madison. And we're really excited to be talking today with members and founders of 40 Acre Cooperative, Angela Dawson and Kef Raku. Angela, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, and thank you, Kelly and Chuck. My name is Angela Dawson. I'm a 4th-generation farmer here in the Midwest. I'm also the founder and president of the 40 Acre Co-op, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
And I am Kef Raku. I am president and CEO of Better Family Life Minnesota Incorporated. We're a 501c3 nonprofit institution, and we are also members of the 40 Acre Co-op.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So we're just going to run through some general questions. I've framed the questions today kind of based on the 7 principles of cooperatives. So we'll see where that takes us. But to start us off, how would you describe 40 Acre Cooperative in just a few sentences?
The 40 Acre Co-op is a farmer-owned producer cooperative with a national membership base. We focus on socially disadvantaged farmers and center Black farmers because of the wealth gap that exists for Black farmers in the United States. We use the hemp seed as our cash crop to bring more economic equity to agriculture for our members.
Great. So the first of the 7 principles of cooperatives is voluntary and open membership. And you've mentioned, obviously, there are producer members of the co-op. Can you talk about all the different types of members that are in your co-op and what motivates them to be member owners?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'll let Kef answer the second part of the question because I'm always interested to hear the different answers that we get from members about why they decided to join the co-op. But the members of the co-op for 40 Acre are very diverse, and currently all around the country. We have members in Minnesota, in Illinois, in Indiana, in Virginia, in Georgia, and North Carolina. And we use a regional approach to decentralize our resources and our services. But we are headquartered in Sandstone, Minnesota, where my farm is. And we are open to anyone who is in alignment with the vision and the mission of the co-op to bring economic equity to socially disadvantaged farmers. And so we work in areas and we customize our services and regionalize our services to the local community and bring those resources there. And we center Black farmers because through sort of the founding of 40 Acre Co-op, we discovered that there were some serious inequities in agriculture as it relates to Black farmers specifically. And there were certain strategies that were needed to address these issues that we feel like have not been addressed by any other cooperative or any other organization, quite frankly, in the United States. And so 40 Acre Co-op is set specifically to address the issues that have plagued Black farmers over the past 100 years.
Certainly. And, what motivates myself and my organization to be member owners of this co-op is, as I said, I'm part of Better Family Life Minnesota Incorporated. And, our purpose is to help to improve family development, improve livability, and create social accountability with our families and members and communities. And one of the programs that we offer at BFL-MN is the Agriculture Enterprise Development Center. And its aim is to offer access to farmland, gardens, and other types of land structures to provide a hands-on technical experience and help prepare families to cultivate, maintain land for animal and food production. And our program, it provides resources for families who are interested in acquiring land and real property for homesteading and agricultural business development. What's great is the 40-acre co-op helps us with that access piece. You know, a lot of times, particularly here in the Twin Cities, in the metropolitan area, though there are community gardens, a lot of times access is extremely limited. And what Angela and Harold and the rest of the members of the 40-acre co-op have done is that they've been contemporary pioneers in returning to the land, and have developed an infrastructure that helps create a low barrier of entry and increases the exposure of agricultural life with their cooperative.
Great answer.
Angela, when we spoke, you mentioned some of the different kinds of people and entities that are members. So in addition to farmers, who else is a member in 40-acre?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, you know, we do center farmers, and our whole mission is around, you know, addressing the wealth and equity and land access gap that Black farmers have experienced specifically. But I will say that we have different classes that are available. Right now, the majority of our class are the farmer owners, but we also have vendors or suppliers of those farmers who can be members. And then we have people within the cannabis business specifically who are members. And those are the only voting class membership. The Class A voting membership are the people who are interested in growing and interested in serving people who are growing. And then we have another class of membership, which is the Class C membership, and that is the investor class. That is a non-voting class of membership, and it's a very unique opportunity that the cooperative has. We don't take it very lightly to have those different classes within our cooperative, because that is pretty much where we can tip the balance in terms of community farmer ownership versus the old traditional model of investor ownership. And I guess I'll just say, if I know we haven't talked about, we haven't gotten to the point where we want to talk about sort of strengths and weaknesses of the model specifically, but it is a challenge to balance those needs, especially for us at this time where there's such a great demand for co-op services and what the co-op is offering. And then there's also a lot of interest in our model in terms of the product and the crop that we're working with. So we're finding that we're attracting different kinds of investors than we intended to. So I'll just say that in a very blunt and frank way. And I'm saying that because of our expertise in the cannabis industry and the hemp industry, we have not just your typical co-op investor person, but I'm finding myself dealing with all kinds of investors who are interested in investing in the co-op. And what we are needing to do now is create criteria to vet those investors to make sure that even though they are investors, they are still also aligned with our mission and our vision to support socially disadvantaged farmers in the United States.
And I think also to boot that there's a great deal of diversity that 40-acre co-op offers. Like Angela said, hemp is definitely the cash crop, but there's so much more that's offered by the farmers as well in terms of the diversity of crop that's farmed by each entity and each farmer. So one thing I wanted to add and note that's extremely important, that I find important from this co-op, is representation. One thing that we're coming to find out is self-efficacy is extremely important, and believing that one can access certain things that typically have been out of reach. And that's kind of the magic that comes from the 40-acre co-op. Is there is an increased belief that, hey, I can be a part of the land. Black families, Black individuals can have further belief that, you know, they can be competent in being able to farm and be able to also provide for themselves as farmers.
So you've addressed this some. You know, we kind of, one of the definitions of a cooperative business different from another structure is this democratic member control. And you've emphasized the central role of the farmers and producers in the membership. Is there anything else you can tell us about your structure and how the members shape the co-op?
I guess I would just add, especially for people who are looking at building cooperatives in their own community, and people who are specifically interested in agriculture cooperatives, I guess I would really say it's so important to do homework on structure. And really, that's really sort of the meat and the bones of the co-op in terms of your financial survival, right? And so when we first started 40 Acre Co-op, it was really exciting to a lot of people, and we attracted a lot of investors. And at first, it was super exciting for me because my background mostly is in the philanthropy realm within Minnesota, meaning that I worked for a large university and I wrote grants and proposals mostly for physicians and researchers and public health researchers, and helped to fund different innovative medical research, devices, medicines, interventions, that kind of stuff. So anytime you get an investor who is excited about your concept and your mission, it is typically a good thing. And I'll say that with agricultural cooperatives, my excitement probably got the best of me, and I had to scale back that excitement to really make sure that even though other people are financially interested in the co-op, that we really have to keep the farmer members at the center. And that's why we wanted to make sure that the farmer members do have the voting power within the cooperative. But I'd like to say, just because of the way that the economy is structured, even psychically for people, I noticed within our membership that if there's an investor in the room, things shift sort of by default. Even in this cooperative space where we're centering farmers, we're centering Black farmers, there could be a point where an investor comes in the room and the whole weight of the room goes to that side. It could be one investor and 10 farmers. And so that's why it's so important for me, and one of the missions that we're working on for our 2021 educational program is that when you're talking about Black farmers specifically in this cooperative model, there is a lot of education that needs to happen. And when we talk about, Kef mentioned this whole thing about self-efficacy and agency. And even when we had our meetings before the COVID shutdowns, when we went to a couple of states and we had what was called farmer field meetings, it was evident to me that the impact of the systemic racism that Black farmers had been living under for these generations have really shaped our efficacy, right, and our agency. And so I'm finding that for us, the co-op model is even more important because I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but those principles of education are front and center of what we do. And it's having that conversation with our members about, even though there's an investor in the room and this investor has access to $1 million and they're going to decide whether or not they're going to invest in us, we're not putting on a show for them. This is not their co-op. They are investors. They are guests. And I have to, first, I had to make that mind up for myself to make sure that that's clear on our leadership side, because people I don't know if it's just because of the way, American capitalism is set up, or the way we've had to always apply for things and the loan officer is in charge. But that investor piece is a very delicate balance. And specifically, I'll say for socially disadvantaged farmers and Black farmers who have not had access to resources, automatically when this person comes in the room and says that they have $1 million, all of the attention and all of the show goes to them. And I think that that's just something that we have to acknowledge as something that we have to work on, right? As a community, it's a part of the education about self-efficacy on the land, with farming, with agriculture. Yes, we have been denied access to resources. We've never had money for capital. Yes, that $1 million can help us get 3 tractors that we've been needing, but we have to still go about this methodically so that we're centering our members and making sure that we're building equity for farmers over time. So I don't know. I know I went a little too far on that, but it's something that I feel passionate about because we've dealt with it recently in the co-op.
I think it's one of the great opportunities that we have coming in 2021 is positioning our members to take on an investor mindset. And what it does is it positions us to as Angela just mentioned, have better efficacy when it comes to the financial aspect of running an agricultural institution, which is necessary for it's necessary for the business side of agriculture. I mean, there's the production side, and then there's the business side, and us taking on that mentality of an investor is going to increase that area of competency as well, and comfortability.
Now for a quick break. Registration is now open for Growing Stronger, a collaborative conference on organic and sustainable farming. The conference will be held from February 22nd through the 27th, 2021. We are partnering with several other events, including the Grassworks Conference, the O-Grain Conference, the Midwest Organic Pork Conference, and the Organic Vegetable Production Conference to create this 5-in-1 virtual conference. Scholarships are available for farmers and student groups. Go to bit.ly/GrowingStronger2021 to check out the lineup of speakers and activities and to get your ticket. Now on to part 2.
Principle 3 is member economic participation, which is like, what does that mean? But, we talk about the owners, member owners of the co-op are the ones who interact with it directly and receive goods and services from the co-op. So, kind of on a functional level, what does that interaction look like between the members and the co-op? What is the co-op providing right now? And what do you hope it can provide in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we are, just completing our first year of existence at the end of December. So we formally incorporated in the state of Minnesota under Chapter 308A of Minnesota Regulation Statutes on Cooperatives around December 28th-ish of 2019. A very tough year to try to start a social enterprise, I might say. That, as soon as we were incorporated, we started some of our work, and we were just at the point of setting up our farm field meeting with farmers directly, and the COVID shutdown started to happen, so we couldn't engage. And because you guys are working agriculture, you know that working with farmers on Zoom isn't really the best option for communicating and talking about a new co-op. So a lot of our farmers are hands-on people, face-to-face. They need to shake your hand. They need to look you in your eye, especially if you're talking about membership fees or, expending any money from their farm with some sort of promise of a benefit. That's conversations that you prefer to have in person. So it was really a challenge for us to start in 2020. And, it's really interesting because still good people like Kef and others have found us somehow. And I still just shake my head at somehow how we've been able to get through all the muck and mire of communication during this time and still be able to find high quality members. So that's why I'm excited about having Kef and his group join us, because he's an example, and that his community and the group that he's representing is an example of the kind of membership that we want to promote within the co-op, meaning that these are people who have some knowledge about the need for agricultural subsistence in the community, the need for education, and the need for cooperation in order for us to complete our collective goals. And not everyone, unfortunately, just even gets that sort of basic premise is, we're here in a cooperative to support each other's businesses and to address the issues around equity in agriculture, and we all have something to bring to the table. And we find that not all members or not all people who are interested in membership really are aligned with that kind of activity. Some people are, purely interested in their farm and their farm only. They want to get as much equipment, resources, plants, grants, and whatever else we have to offer. And they're not really interested in contributing. And what we're finding is that those are not the kind of members that are really aligned, at least that for us at this time. We don't really have the capacity for extractive transactions for this co-op. We're in our building phase. It's our first 12 months. For the most part, what we've been offering now is we started out with the monthly meetings. We had monthly meetings in person where we basically were all about education at that point. What is a co-op? Why are we organizing a co-op? Why is 40 Acre organizing right now? And then we started talking about the issues, the policy issues for Black farmers that exist in the United States today. You may or may not know that there was just recently a new Black farmer policy legislation that was introduced by Senator Cory Booker. I don't think that there is a chance for it to pass in this congressional period, but it is a good leap forward. You know, it's the first time really that we've had a senator so bold enough to come up with a Black farmer policy that recognizes the specific issues that Black farmers have faced in agriculture over the past 100 years. And so that is the kind of stuff that we've been talking about mostly at the beginning for our first year. But specifically, we're bringing on training and grow supplies and resources and even some grant opportunities for our members. And so we're starting the 2021 grow season with sort of our inaugural training that we call the HIP program. It stands for the Hemp Incubator Program. It's a 25-member cohort that will go through some specific modules, 12 modules over about a 12-week period, where we'll address specific issues that we have around agriculture, and then also technical assistance, and they're matched with one of our expert mentors to help them with their specific grow needs. And so we come up with a grow plan for that member. And so these are for people who are really interested in taking their farm business to the next level. They understand that they want to farm, they want to invest the time and the energy in becoming independent farmers, and they just need some good foundational knowledge to get there. So in addition to, I'll just say the HIP program, we also have been working all 2020, in addition to meeting the farmers, on creating a high quality premium hemp genetic profile. And we're about 90% there. I'm actually leaving Minnesota tomorrow to visit our lab partners in Illinois to kind of complete out this seed run. We're hoping to have a new 1 or 2 genetic strains of high quality hemp that have been specialized for this growing region to introduce in early 2021. So that's what we're able to offer now, but we're hoping to be able to offer, for example, we have some extraction equipment that we're working through right now. We'd love to be able to offer extraction resources. The other thing that I'm going to do on my trip to Illinois tomorrow is we're looking at some retail shelf space for some of the products that we're starting to offer. And so we're going to do some market testing for some of the product that we just have harvested to see how it's going to work in the marketplace, so that we can be better informed and create better market opportunities for our members. So it's an exciting time. I took a longer time to answer your question because we have so many things that we need to offer. There's so much demand that we found from 2020 for our members. And one of the things that we really want to do is make sure that we're creating successful business opportunities for our members to engage. We don't want to encourage members to get into farming so that they can be broke. We already have that narrative for Black farmers. The Black broke farmer narrative is done. So what we're doing here is we're creating more economic equity for farmers by creating low entry market opportunities so that when they are ready, they have access to those opportunities to be successful in farming.
And also, I think it also highlights one of our core values, which is cooperative economics, and that, you know, we're here to build and maintain our own enterprises and shops and other types of businesses to be able to profit from them together. And one of the things that attracted me to the 40 Acre Co-op was the structure of potential dividends. While I'm a member and I'm still learning the ins and outs, maybe Angela, you can kind of touch on the future intentions of being able to have that dividend structure for members.
Yes, absolutely. So we have dividends in 2 ways. So we'll talk first about the member dividend opportunity, and this is when it gets really exciting. And this is why I'm so anxious for the training to get started, because we do cover more of this in detail in the training. But basically, the members are going to get to decide what their dividend is. And the dividend is based on your economic participation with the co-op. So right now, one of the ways that we offer dividends to members is through the genetic material, the hemp seeds and the plants that will first provide for members in the first quarter of 2021. So These hemp starts and the quality of the plant material, we are so excited about it. But the quality, the one thing about 40 Acre Co-op that we also want to be known for on the branding side is that our farmers are not only going to be educated and trained and have self-efficacy, but we're also going to be known for high quality plant material and putting high quality medicinal hemp in the market, because we feel like 75% of what's out there is trash. And it is kind of. So we're one of the organizations that are looking to level up the quality of product on the market in general. And 40 Acre growers are going to be known for contributing that quality to the marketplace. So this particular plant that we have that is sort of yet to be named is one of the main revenue streams for the co-op. And so we're going to offer it to members for a much cheaper rate than what we're going to offer it to the general public. The general public pays about $6 per plant for this quality of hemp. Our members will pay for the plant portion. Our members will pay about $2 per plant, and they'll pay $1 if they only want it in seed. But first they'll realize the discount of the difference between what they pay as members and what the public pays as non-members. They also get a discount on the training. So members get the training. If they paid the $500 member fee, the training that we're offering to the public at $250 is free to our members. Some members will also get $2,500 worth of grow supplies, meaning the grow tent, the plants, the seeds, the fertilizer, the dirt, all the stuff that we're using to get a grow started. Members will get access to that free. But that's just on the benefit side. In terms of the equity distribution side, members who grow high quality hemp for the co-op will buy back that hemp from them at a rate, depending on how much they paid for their plants, at a rate at either 30 or 40%, meaning that we only take 30% if you used our seeds, or we take 40% from your material if you used a different plant material. And we are going to buy back that from the farmer, so the farmer gets paid that way. And then at the end of the year, if the co-op makes a profit, the members get to decide what we do with the profit. Are we going to distribute the profit through cash benefits and equity to the members? Are we going to distribute it through deeper discounts on grow supplies and materials and equipment? Or are we going to put it back into the co-op to invest in larger extraction equipment? And so that's why the education part is so important, because these are robust conversations that we have to have after we understand what the value of all of these items are, right? And so that's why it's important to have people like Kef and folks who really kind of understand the concept of building a cooperative enterprise so that all of us are benefiting. So when it comes time for us to have this conversation that, at the end of 2021, we realized there's numbers all over the place in the hemp market, quite frankly, if you've done the numbers, anywhere from 25 to 40% profit margin for the product. The market's kind of volatile right now, so the numbers could go anywhere in that range. But let's say that we have a profit of $1 million. There's a lot of building infrastructure that the co-op still needs to do. We can decide to do that. We have 200 acres of land down the road that we're kind of eyeing that we might want to pay off and build a whole facility there that might include some housing. That's one idea. Or, maybe it's just the fact that we need to pay off a processing plant in Virginia where we have a lot of a really strong farmer interest in that area. So this is the part where we have to have those conversations. And also, it's a little scary. So I'm just going to say, agricultural cooperatives are where you can have a lot of power struggles. And if we don't have the right education and the right framework and people who are aligned with the vision of creating equity in this market, thinking long-term for this institution to still be here when our children and our grandchildren are still here, then that's going to drive how we decide what the equity structure looks like.
Both of you have touched on this next one in a couple different ways. We talk about principle 4 as being autonomy and independence. So co-ops, obviously they can enter into contracts and relationships with other groups, collaborate in all sorts of ways, but ultimately they are independent entities and the members have autonomy over them. Any other reasons why this structure was appealing to you versus, say, a nonprofit organization?
Well, so the cooperative model in general has so many attractive elements to it. And I'd say sort of the first I have a top 3 reasons why I really like it. One of them was, obviously our sort of historical connection as Black farmers to the cooperative model at the turn of the century in the early 1900s, when after slaves were emancipated, a lot of them went to the cooperative model when other economic opportunities were denied to them by the majority culture, right? So when jobs weren't being offered, when there was, a lot of segregation and resources weren't allocated equitably, Black farmers decided to organize their own cooperative, and it worked really well. I mean, it was a very successful co-op. I think it almost had 1 million members, and it provided everything from food, housing, employment. And so I think just sort of historically, we haven't really leveraged the model for what it could offer. And so the reason why I thought this was the time for the 40-acre co-op is really to build on the legacy that was started by Black farmers in the early 1900s. There was a reason why the white supremacists intentionally tried to dismantle Black cooperatives during that time. And I think that this is now the time to confront those issues, right? Because after those cooperatives were dismantled in the 1920s, they never really started up again. There was so much fear and intimidation and threats and violence and probably even murder that happened because these people decided to organize themselves in this way. And probably even in the Rochdale pioneers also had some of that history of their own. And I think there's something about the power of that model that we haven't even thoroughly explored. And so that's why I really wanted to have some good people join the 40-acre co-op to help us really leverage this model so that we can benefit from it in ways that we haven't even explored yet. And so that's what makes it attractive. The other thing that makes it attractive is it can be used in so many diverse ways, right? So in Minnesota and specifically, we have the benefit of having more co-ops per capita, I think, than any state in the country. And we have really committed cooperators here, which is so great. And even and we share that with Wisconsin, our neighbor. Like I feel like this is sort of like the co-op center of the country here where we're at. And I really felt like as a citizen here, it was my job to take advantage of this model and use it to help support my community. And because it can be used for anything from, we have sex worker co-ops in Denmark, and we have, daycare co-ops in New York, and we have the co-op model can be used for anything that we have intention behind. And so that's what makes it so attractive to me. I feel like I have all of these rich resources of the Center for Co-ops in Wisconsin, and we have shared capital here in Minnesota, and we have all these cooperators here, the CDS and all these other co-op development professionals here in the Midwest. And I will just dare say, since we have the mic here, the co-op model in Minnesota, in the Midwest, has also struggled with diversity and inclusion. And so, yes, we have a lot of really advanced cooperative developers here, but we also have a lot of systemic racism still here in the Midwest that has prevented me from being able to be a cooperative professional until now, for the most part. So the time was so appropriate right now for the 40-acre co-op for many reasons. We were founded before the George Floyd killing, but the conversations that we're having are even more important now since George Floyd has been killed around Black independence, around Black self-efficacy, around self-determination and autonomy, that this is the exact time that the 40-acre co-op was supposed to be born.
Thanks to Kelly Maynard from the UW Center for Cooperatives, Angela Dawson from 40-acre Co-op, and Kef Raku from 40-acre Co-op and Better Family Life, Minnesota. Watch out for part 2 next week, where we'll talk through cooperative principles 5 through 7 and more. Thank you for listening to the Moses Organic Farming Podcast, and remember to register for the Growing Stronger Conference. Moses educates farmers in sustainable and organic agriculture. Call the Organic Answer Line to ask a specialist about organic farming and certification at 888-90-MOSES or visit mosesorganic.org/ask. Register now for the Growing Stronger Collaborative Conference at bit.ly/GrowingStronger2021. Thanks again to our patron sponsor, Gemplers. Visit gemplers.com. If you have any questions about today's episode or have ideas for future episodes, please contact me at chuck@mosesorganic.org. Our theme song is Summerfields by the Tenements. Thanks again for listening.